I'm Leslie Weidenbender with Comcast Newsmakers. Today I'm here with Senator Randy Head, a Republican from Logansport. Senator, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You are carrying a bill that's become known as the Eraser Bill.
Yes.
And it is legislation that is on Governor Mike Pence's agenda.
Right.
Can you tell us what it is and why it matters?
Well, the governor's office brought this bill to me in order to try to deregulate business to the extent that we could. This particular bill deals with licensure. The executive branch of our state government licenses over 400,000 Hoosiers, and we want to take another look at that. What the bill does is it creates a process where people from each profession would be in a 5-year cycle, and in their 5th year, the profession as a whole would come before a committee and make an argument that they need to keep their license. The committee would then make a recommendation to the General Assembly, and the General Assembly would have to pass a bill saying this particular profession needs this license in order to protect the public, and if they don't do that, then the license would sunset.
The bill has been a little bit controversial.
It's been very controversial. It's easy to describe, but hard to persuade people about it, certainly.
Tell us why you think it has been controversial and what chances you think it has of passing.
I think it has a good chance of passing, but it's been controversial for understandable reasons. Anyone that has a license and is affected by it is worried that they would lose that license. Cosmetologists are a good example. There was a bill last year, I think, and 2 years ago as well, that would have delicensed cosmetologists. And so they're worried this is part of an effort to continue that process. And really it isn't. It treats them the same as everybody else in the bill. But their argument is that they have specialized knowledge and training, deal with dangerous chemicals. In order to become a cosmetologist, you have to pass a first aid course, and there's lots of knowledge and experience that goes on there. And so they argue that their license is necessary to protect the public. And really not just anyone can do what they do. And that's really the crux of the bill. If you have a specialized knowledge, if you have something that you've learned to do that's a skill that not just anyone could do, then probably you deserve to have that license. And people are simply worried that wouldn't happen. Although I think the way that the bill is designed, I think it would protect the public and protect people who deserve to be protected.
Senator, you're also backing legislation that would work on making drunk driving tests better. Tell us about why that was important.
Well, we've discovered a loophole in the criminal code. Big surprise to anyone who's a fan of the criminal code or who follows those issues. And that was brought to us by a drunk driving case from Indianapolis that's still pending. And there they took the subject to a facility that wasn't technically allowed to draw blood according to the Indiana code. And so what we're trying to do is open that up and say anyone who's qualified to draw blood should be allowed to do it. The prosecutor in each case would still have to prove they were qualified, still have to prove this was done in a medically acceptable way and in a way that did not taint the results. All those rules would still be in place. But instead of having restrictions on who's allowed to draw blood based on the profession that they're in, we say anyone who's qualified and who's been trained to do it and has the experience to do it should be allowed to draw blood to test for blood alcohol content in a drunk driving case. Seems simple, right?
The budget is coming over to the Senate. What are your priorities for the budget?
My priorities for every budget are always education and public safety. We spend more money on education in Indiana than any other thing, and I'm fine with that. I think that's how it ought to be. I'm a big supporter of public education, and I'm happy that the budget, as proposed by the governor and as passed by the House, would spend more money on education. It's not a whole lot, but it's certainly better than the way that things have been in the recent past. I'm also very concerned about public safety. We have a bill that's revamping the entire Indiana criminal code, and I think we need to make sure we invest in the Department of Corrections to make sure we have places to put our worst offenders. People who are violent, people who are likely to repeat, habitual offenders really ought to go to prison and ought to stay there for long periods of time, and we can't afford to cut corners when it comes to that.
Well, Senator, thank you so much for joining us today. It was great to have you.
Well, certainly, it was good to be here. Thank you very much.
I'm Leslie Weidenbender with Comcast Newsmakers, and I've been here today with Senator Randy Head.